Southern California, welcome to Money Matters with Dino. Saturdays from noon to 1, right here on Power Players Radio, KTLK AM1150. Do you own a home or have plans to in the future? You'll get all the information you need to know about what's happening in the local real estate market and how to take advantage of that knowledge. How to approach home ownership or mortgage financing with design, vision, and focus, as well as accurate information. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, listen to Money Matters with Dino right here on Power Players Radio, KTLK AM1150.
Welcome to Money Matters with Dino, the most important hour of radio for Southern Californians every week. My name is Dino Katsiametis, and I want to thank you for joining today's conversation. Sounds like a bold thing to say, the most important hour of radio, but if you're listening right now, I guarantee that by the time this show is over, you'll have learned something valuable. You go to our website, moneymatterswithdino.com, you'll see the tagline, from your estate to real estate, where your money matters. That title, it sums up what our show is all about. It's about money, your money. My goal and purpose for this show is to educate you regarding your money. Now, that can be anything from buying and selling homes to the stock market or even starting a new business. How do I do this? I seek out top professionals in their marketplace, and I have them share their years of experience and knowledge with you. Now, I know real estate, and I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. I even have knowledge in some other fields, but I don't consider myself an expert in all areas of business. Therefore, in this show, I bring you respected professionals that are experts in their fields because it's critical to me that I provide you with accurate and up-to-date information, and I take that very seriously. Like I mentioned before, my expertise is in growing and managing wealth using the vehicle of real estate. Having decades of experience and extensive knowledge in helping people with their real estate needs has convinced me that real estate is still one of the many and best ways to grow a steady and secure portfolio of wealth. But it's not the only one, and that's why I call the show Money Matters. The other, and I think the greater reason, is that money affects your quality of life. Every financial decision you make affects every aspect of your life, from where you live to how you live. And if you're a family man like me, it also affects if and where your kids will go to college. Think about that. Every financial decision you make today will affect your quality of life tomorrow. Decisions that will affect what neighborhood you live in, what schools your kids will go to, if your kids will be able to play an organized sport or even learn an instrument. I know that sounds silly, but it's not. All these things cost money. I know as well as anybody does, you don't want to say no because of money, but too many of us have to, too much of the time. Money, when managed properly, will enable you to say yes. And more importantly, understanding money, whether it's in the stock market, real estate, or stuffed under your mattress, can protect you from turbulent times like we recently experienced the past few years. Here's something I love to say, and you're going to hear me say it a lot. And this is coming from a guy that loves real estate. Don't just get real estate rich, get rich. And we're here to teach you how. I hope you enjoy this show. Before I get into what we have in store for you today, I want to share with you this week's words of wisdom. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. T.S. Eliot. Let me repeat that one because I really like it. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. I use this quote for my own personal motivation when I'm feeling a little nervous about my next move in business and in life. I think it's natural to want to stay in your little comfort zone and just repeat small successes that make you feel good. Sometimes that's the best thing to do, but other times you look back at your decisions or lack of decisions and realize that you missed the greatest opportunity in your life. Worse yet is not knowing what you may have missed because you didn't jump in and find out. I've taken many chances that didn't work out as I planned, and many that have surpassed my wildest dreams. Most importantly, none of the risks that I've taken do I ever regret. Well, maybe not all of them. But like the quote says, only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. So today we have with me in studio here is the owner of Lynch Associates, a real estate group down in Lido Island, Carole Lynch, and Paul Sobly from PDS Appraisal, Inc. In the next segment, Carole and Paul will join us in our discussion with our panel of experts. Today we're addressing the extremely important topic of 7 ways to beat cash buyers without falling into this trap. As always, our last segment is the Ask Dino segment, where my producer Phil will ask me questions that you have emailed us or Facebooked us. I'll use my extensive and personal experience to make certain your questions are answered correctly and in a way that is simple to understand. Now, if you have any questions for me or you'd like to get in touch with any of our guests here today, you can call us at 949-720-1616, and we'll be glad to help you. That's 949-720-1616. Or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. From your estate to real estate, use us as your resource for wealth. This segment is brought to you by DLS Transportation Limo Company. Luxury on-time transportation at a reasonable rate. And I just want to say a quick thank you to all the guys and gals over at DLS for joining our team. As you know by now, we only partner with top-tier professionals, and these guys certainly fit the requirement. If you have a need for safe, luxury rides that get you there in time, do yourself a favor and check out DLS Transportation. Mention my name and get a discount. Co-hosting with me today is my producer, Phil. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here. This is pretty exciting today.
It is pretty exciting. For those of you that don't know, we actually changed our studio here. We left the Clear Channel studios up in beautiful Burbank, and now we're in an air-conditioned room down in Newport Beach.
This is pretty nice. You look out the window at our incredible parking lot there, and you wonder why we haven't done this before.
I know. I'm really excited. So, hey, we're here. What are we talking about today, Phil?
Today, as you said, we're talking about the 7 ways to be cash buyers. And this is what I found. Would-be home buyers armed only with financing are competing with real estate investors with the means to pay for home in cash. After all, the cash buyers are edging out everyone else, leaving many frustrated at a time when lower prices and tax incentives favor buyers. The market scuffle is happening primarily over heavily discounted foreclosed homes and other properties, typically less than $300,000 or even well below $100,000 in some markets. These homes are attractive to investors seeking a good return and first-time buyers looking for an affordable home. The trend is most pronounced in areas like California, Florida, Arizona, and Nevada. Even though a first-time buyer may be offering the same price as an investor or a higher price, the investor has the edge. The investor may actually pay less, but it's cash right now. Across the country, some 22% of all previously owned homes sold in December were purchased entirely with cash, up from 16% a year earlier. Now, this is kind of what we've been dealing with now. And the funny thing is, to me, after dealing with you and seeing how you do loans, it's pretty much all cash anyway, isn't it? I mean, once the loan's done, the homeowner's getting cash either way.
Well, it is. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if a buyer is getting a loan or is paying in cash, the seller ends up with the same amount of money, right? As long as they negotiate the same sales price. The difference is loans these days are so hard and can have so many pitfalls that sometimes aren't even foreseen until you get into it, that a seller isn't willing to take that chance. So they'd rather take the cash buyer and be able to fund the loan faster without any potential pitfalls. So, for example, a guy who's getting a loan is going to need a minimum of 30 days in order to get the process, through from A to Z. The cash buyer, all he has to do is get an appraisal on the loan, on the house, and do some inspections. And it's done. It's over. He just wires the money.
So how quickly can that happen?
I'd say most cash transactions are going between 10 and 15 days because they still need to do an appraisal. Mm-hmm. They still need to get inspections on the house. And the market's so busy right now that all of this stuff does take a little time still. So even if you're paying cash, you still have to go through a little bit of a process. So the big difference, though, is, and what we're going to be talking about today, is how to compete with those guys. Because again, in reality, there's no reason to lose out if you're paying the same amount of money. So what can you do to make yourself appear like a cash buyer, or as good of to have your offer appear to be as good as some of these other people? Price is always a big deal, right? Because the higher the price, the more chances of your offer getting accepted. But in today's market, with all of the other things that we have going, there's the loan contingency, there's the appraisal contingency, depending on what kind of condition the house is in. For example, if I had a house that was a little beaten up or even just older, I don't want a buyer that's going to come in, do a big inspection, and then tell me that they want this fixed, they want the heater fixed, they want the air conditioner, they want the roof tiles. It's like, you know what, dude, you're buying a house that's 70 years old, and I'm not going to fix all that stuff. It's part of buying a house. So if I have any sense that the buyer is going to be nitpicky, then I'm not going to choose it. And I tell my clients this all the time. Don't get fooled into just taking the highest price, because there's a lot of other things you got to think about in between. And I think later when we have Carole Lynch on the show, she's a real estate agent down in Newport Beach, and her office is down on Lido Island. She deals a lot with high-end homes, but a lot of these homes too down there are vacation rentals and sometimes even older. And there's various things that come with that. Even just being by the ocean, there's a lot of wear and tear sometimes. So I can't wait to get her opinion on some of this stuff.
Yeah, she actually, I was talking to her before the show. She actually told me that she beat out a cash buyer for a $2 million home with like 5% down or 10% down. It was like a really low down payment, which just completely blew my mind.
Well, and that's why we invited her to come on the show today. She's got an actual technique that she uses that combined with a few other things that we're going to be talking about, I think are unbeatable.
There you go.
And that's when, if you're listening right now, you have to keep listening, because there's going to be the secrets that we're going to be giving out. And unfortunately, most of these agents out there don't even know them. They don't realize that they can do things to help their buyer. They just think that, go in and make as many offers as you can and smile a little bit. It's going to get you it's not going to get you your offer accepted. You're listening to Money Matters with Dino on KTLK AM1150. If you have any questions at all about anything you've heard here today, or would like to inquire about a refinance or purchase of a home, give us a call. I'm at 949-720-1616, and let me help you make the best real estate decisions for you and your family. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. Coming up after the break, we have our panel discussion with the experts. Joining us is Carole Lynch from Lynch Associates Real Estate and Paul Sobly from PDS Appraisals. We're going to expose the trap buyers are getting into when going up against cash buyers, so don't touch that dial. While you're waiting, think about your financial goals and ask yourself, am I protecting my current investments with knowledge and investing in a way that will make me wealthy? Remember, don't just get real estate rich, get rich. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When it comes to purchasing or refinancing your home, turn to someone with experience, CHL Mortgage. It doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing the home of your dreams, or refinancing. The team of mortgage specialists at CHL Mortgage provide you with superior knowledge and service. Their ultimate goal? Getting the highest quality loan at low rates. Their second goal? To create a lasting relationship with every client and continue to provide excellent service for years to come. If you're looking to purchase or refinance, call the experts at 888-814-3335. That's 888-814-3335. Get additional details at www.chl.cc or call their office at 888-814-3335. Finally, a reputable legal firm. CDA Law Center, a nationally recognized nonprofit homeowner advocate, one of the most trusted firms in the country for helping consumers with their loan modification process. CDA's attorneys have decades of combined experience guiding their clients through the very complex and choppy waters of loan modification. Call 877-499-4435, 877-499-4435. Finally, honest and ethical advice to gain real results. Call CDA Law Center at 877-499-4435. That's 877-499-4435, or check them out online at cdalawcenter.com.
Welcome back to Money Matters with Dino. If you have any questions for myself or my guests, or if you need help with your money matters, give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. From your estate to real estate, we're here to help you. This segment is brought to you by CFAM Credit Solutions. CFAM Credit Solutions specializes in credit repair. These are the experts in assisting clients in removing inaccurate, outdated, and misleading derogatory items from their credit reports. And doing loans for a living, you guys, I got to tell you that these little things that you sometimes just don't pay attention to or are even erroneous that shouldn't be there. A little $39 charge from some cable company that you don't even have a clue how it got there is ruining your credit, and that's going to cost you guys a lot of money. If you have anything like that, just go online at moneymatterswithdino.com and you'll see the tab there for credit repair. Click on it, talk to them. They're professionals. I do vouch for them. I have sent many of my clients there, so it's very much worth it. Or you can call me direct, and I'll be more than happy to explain it to you. It's 949-720-1616. Joining us today in our discussion panel with the experts is Carole Lynch from Lynch Associates Real Estate and Paul Sobly from PDS Appraisal. How are you guys?
Doing well, Dino.
Good, Dino. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for coming in today. So we're going to be talking about the 7 ways to be cash buyers without falling into this trap. And Carole, let's start with you. Before we jump into the topic, let's talk a little bit about your background and what you do.
Okay. Well, I was a legal assistant for over 20 years working with trial attorneys. So that lends well to the real estate transaction, knowing how important it is to get everything correct in the in the contracts and such. I'm really familiar with that. So, and I was helping out a lot of people negotiate deals with cars and everything, from houses to whatever. And I thought, I think that I would be better served in the real estate field. I loved showing houses, working with people, and I love being around people. So it's really worked well for me.
So when you said in the legal field, I guess the first thing that popped into my mind is, so are you a deal maker or a deal killer? Obviously, you're a deal maker if you got out of the legal field.
A deal maker with with some trepidation.
Absolutely.
No, I can make the deals, but I know how important it is to make sure that everything is done correctly.
Great. And Mr. Paul Sobly, I've known you for several years. You've been one of my top appraisers for many, many years. I like to call you everybody's not so favorite friend because of how difficult your job is. And everybody always thinks their house is worth more money than it really is. But tell us a little bit about your background and what you do.
Well, I appreciate your having me today, Dino. I'm a state licensed appraiser and have been one since 2003. And after diligently training for several years and paying my dues, I started PDS Appraisal back in 2005. And PDS is generally a residential real estate appraisal company headquartered here in beautiful Tustin, California in the OC. And despite being here in Orange County, obviously we appraise in the surrounding counties, Palm Springs area, parts of San Bernardino, LA, northern San Diego County. So we've been around for a little while. We have a wide breadth of experience appraising different types of properties. So again, appreciate your having me.
Paul, the new laws have become so difficult and they're so stringent that these guidelines that we all have to follow. As a loan officer, I'm not even allowed to pick which appraiser is going to do the house. It has to be a random pool from a group of appraisers. But I always consider Paul my go-to guy for advice because I need to know if a deal can work, and that's just how it goes. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and some of the laws here in just a bit. But let's just get right into the panel discussion. Carole, the first question is for you. I think we all agree now that it's a great time to buy and ironically also a great time to sell. But, the cash buyers right now, these investors are buying up the country. The question is, how does the average home buyer get into a house these days? What's the first thing you do when you meet with a client that's interested in buying a house?
The first thing I do when meeting with a client is making sure that they are well qualified. And that's not only getting a pre-qualification letter from a lender, but also having direct underwriter approval, getting a DU approval. And that holds a lot of weight with an offer when you first meet with a client. So that's the first step is having DU approval. And
when you do get a first client or a client and you basically tell them they have to get approved first, what do you do? Where do you tell them to go?
I ask them if they have a lender, and then I say, No, you should use Dino.
Oh, that's the answer I was looking for. So
I definitely said, well, because you have so many programs that will get deals through.
Yeah.
As opposed to other lenders.
Well, good. Thanks. Good answer. Good answer. And how important is it in agreeing on outside services like title and escrow and inspections and stuff like that?
Well, it's important as a listing agent, and it's important to have a team together to make the smoothest transaction possible. However, in this market, when you're representing a buyer, you really have to let the listing agent choose the services, the choice of services, and then you learn to work with it. Mm-hmm.
And, as a lender, I never get to choose those on purchase transactions. I'm given a group of people. And I got to tell you, because we deal so much with title and escrow, folks, if they're not as committed and working as hard as we are to get it done, they can postpone everything by weeks and end up, ultimately costing the client several $1,000s when things don't close on time. And it amazes me how these people are still in business in today's world, because there's no more room for people that they can't produce when they say they're going to produce. I mean, we depend on these people. And this is something that, when the clients like to blame somebody and always blame one person. But what they don't understand is how many people are involved in a transaction. In order to close a purchase transaction, I mean, there's the real estate agent, there's the loan officer, the appraiser, the title, the escrow, the home inspectors.
Right.
I mean, the list goes on. It's important to have the right team to produce that.
Right, and as a buyer's agent too, when you don't have the right team, when you have to use the listing agent's person, the buyer's agents really need to be proactive and ensure that everything is following as it should and everything within its time limits too, because you have to protect your client even more so now.
And what about overbidding? How does that come into play?
Overbidding, you have there are a lot of multiple offers on most properties right now, and you come into overbidding when you have many well-qualified offers. And so, but I have several ways to combat the overbidding. I didn't know if you wanted.
Yeah, well, I actually want to get into it a little bit more, but if you're listening right now, you're listening to Money Matters with Dino, and we're talking about the 7 best ways to beat a cash buyer. And you can give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. We'd love to talk to you about it a little bit more personal and your situation in particular. But Carole, going back to that question, it seems like overbidding is really just, it's a way of life now. I mean, everybody's having to go in over asking price. But what happens when the appraisal doesn't come in at that price?
Right. That's always a concern when the appraisal doesn't come in. That's why it's so important for the agent, both the listing agent and the buyer's agent, to price the home well. And going in as a buyer's agent, you need to know the market. You need to know your comps. Those comps are the same comps that an appraiser will use. So you have to protect your client, even though there is the bidding war going on. And also, many buyers right now are going in, they agree upon a purchase price, and if the appraiser comes in low, many buyers are willing to come in with cash out of pocket with the difference in order to get the house.
So, Paul, I want to ask you to jump in a little bit here, because I experience it all the time where the real estate agents, I don't know if they're looking at different numbers or if they just look at it differently, but they always look at one thing and think the house is worth something. You look at it another and think it's worth something else. What do you find is the major difference between that? Why does that happen? I mean, comps are comps, right?
Well, you would like to think so, but again, one of the most frustrating situations is that the realtor's job really is to get as high a price for the property as possible, represent their seller properly, and if someone wants to pay X for it, great, they'll take it. The biggest issue is that as an appraiser, we may not be looking at the same properties as that agent is looking at to determine what the value is. And from my perspective as an appraiser, I have a set of critical value components, as I like to call them. And they include the size of the house, the location of the house, the amenities of the house, the property in general, and the neighborhood, the view, any added amenities.
Well, I got a question for you. So let's say house sells for $500,000 and it's 2,000 square feet. Down the street, same view, house is 700 square feet bigger. Are you allowed to use that house as a comp? And obviously, it's sold for significantly more.
When you say, are we allowed to use it? The appraiser's job is to provide an opinion of current market value. And most appraisers really get their data from the same pool. We use the MLS, we use assessor records. So when you say, are we allowed to? Sure, we can.
Yeah, but I give you a hard time all the time, but the truth is it's gotten to a point. Yeah, you can use it, but really there's a test. Will it get through the underwriter? I mean, will the underwriter allow it?
Every lender is different. They all have a general set of guidelines in which they follow. So the general rule of thumb when you're looking at size of house is 20, 25, 30% difference from your subject property.
Gotcha.
So anything outside of that, you can certainly use it, but as the appraiser, you better have a good reason and you better be able to explain it in some type of comment form in the appraisal so that your underwriter understands exactly why you're using it.
All right, well, hang tight because I want to ask you some more questions. You're listening to Money Matters with Dino, and if you have any questions at all about anything you hear here today with our panel of experts, give us a call at 949-720-1616. And I do want to remind you that I am a mortgage broker, and this is a very complicated market for both buyers and sellers. Therefore, my recommendation is to put together a team that really knows the industry, knows your market, and understands your needs. If you'd like some help putting that team together, give me a call. I'm at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. From your estate to real estate, we are here to help you. Stick with us. We'll be back after the break and continue our panel discussion with the experts. We're going to be giving you a few more secrets to beating cash buyers. Think about how you can use this information to get into a home you want. And as always, don't just get real estate rich, get rich. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Finally, a reputable legal firm. CDA Law Center, a nationally recognized nonprofit homeowner advocate, one of the most trusted firms in the country for helping consumers with their loan modification process. CDA's attorneys have decades of combined experience guiding their clients through the very complex and choppy waters of loan modification. Call 877-499-4435, 877-499-4435. Finally, honest and ethical advice to gain real results. Call CDA Law Center at 877-499-4435. That's 877-499-4435, or check them out online at cdalawcenter.com.
Mortgage professionals, are you looking for a company that values you as a loan officer? One that can provide you with the tools you need to grow your business at your pace? Then look no further than CHL Mortgage. CHL Mortgage provides you with a full range of residential loan products and services. You'll be backed by an exceptionally trained team of professionals that can take your clients as seriously as you do. Your clients will be treated with dedicated service, personal integrity, and exceptional professionalism. You'll be able to guide them in the right loan with competitive rates and keep them on the road to achieving life's goals. To get started on advancing your career, call Dino with CHL Mortgage at 949-720-1616. That's CHL Mortgage, 949-720-1616.
Welcome back to Money Matters with Dino. If you have any questions for myself or my guests here today, give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616. If From your estate to real estate, we're here to help you. You can also check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. This segment is brought to you by Citywide Home Loans, bringing you low rates, specials on closing costs, and exceptional service. We're in the middle right now with our panel discussion with the experts, and if you're just tuning in, we're having an incredible discussion about 7 ways to beat cash buyers without falling into this trap. Of course, if you missed any part of the show, you can go on to moneymatterswithdino.com and check it out in its entirety. With me today is Carole Lynch from Lynch Associates Real Estate down on Lido Island in Newport Beach, and Paul Sobly from PDS Appraisals. So in the last segment, we were talking a little bit more about appraisals. And Paul, I wanted to ask you, in appraising income properties, is it any different than appraising a owner-occupied property?
Well, certainly. Income property is generally purchased to generate income. So the way we look at it, as appraisers, we are required to reconcile several approaches to value: the cost approach, the income approach, and the sales comparison approach. And so for that income property, that income approach serves as really the catalyst for determining what the value of the property is.
All right. And so here's another one that I found interesting. I actually didn't know this about you, but not only are you an appraiser, but you also appraise property for the city.
Well, in a matter of speaking, PDS works with a local insurance company. And what we do is we go out and appraise properties for replacement cost value. So
for the insurance company, not necessarily for the city.
Correct. And
because I thought maybe you were that guy that goes and appraises high and gets the city or the county some extra money.
Hardly. You can blame that on somebody else. But what we do is we go out, and if the big one happened to hit, we would have to have appraised the property in terms of replacement cost. So what will it cost to rebuild the structure in today's environment?
All right. Well, that makes sense. All right, Carole, you're back.
Yes.
So earlier we talked about, just competing against cash buyers right now. And, contingencies, for those of you that don't know what that is typically when you buy a house, the standard contract reads you have 17 days to remove all contingencies. Tell us about what those contingencies are.
Well, those contingencies are it's the time period. You typically have 17 days to remove all contingencies, including a loan contingency. Typically, it takes about 2 weeks for an appraiser to get out there and make sure that the house appraises. You also use that time to inspect the property and to review all the disclosures from the seller. So in this market where it's really tough to get your offer accepted, it's a good idea to sometimes shore up that time frame, because if the seller is looking at it like his property will realistically be off the market for 17 days, and then you don't remove your contingencies for 17 days, they've lost that time. So that would be another way to get your offer accepted, is to shore up that timeline.
Now, what happens after the 17 days, though? Obviously, you're saying we're ready to go, but there's got to be a little pressure put on the buyer at this point, because they release their down payment at that point, right?
No, the down payment isn't released at that point. The good faith deposit is the only money held in escrow, and that is applied toward their closing costs or down payment at time of close of escrow.
Okay, so in typically, how much money do people put as a good faith deposit?
Usually it's between 1% and 3%, but right now you have to go in with 3% plus for a good faith deposit in order to show that you're a serious buyer.
And how important do you think that is right now? Because obviously competing against cash buyers, does it show that you're a little bit more serious and maybe more willing or more able to close a deal if you went in a little larger? Absolutely.
I always try to get my buyers to go in with as much as possible, because if you remove your contingencies within the time frame, that money goes toward your down payment. However, if you back out of escrow for whatever reason, if it doesn't appraise or there's some issue with some defect with the home, you do have that money returned to you. However, it does look to the seller that you're more qualified and you're more into the house. But, the most important thing I really think in going in with an offer is to do your research. The buyer's agent must do the research and talk with the listing agent and find out what is the listing agent looking for? What is the seller looking for? Sometimes sellers I just had one deal where it was a woman who raised her whole family in the house. She was 82 and she wanted someone who just loved the home as opposed to looking for the highest offer. She was looking more toward the people. So it's really doing research and finding out what people are looking for and structure your offer to that end.
Do you ever put the buyer and the seller together? Do you try and get the buyer to personally meet?
Never. I never think that that's a good idea.
How come?
Because things are said sometimes that often can be mistaken, and I always like to present the offer myself. However, I will go in with a short bio of the family and preferably pictures and paint the picture that I think would be most appealing to that specific seller.
So along those lines then, do you think it makes a difference if it's an owner-occupied type of deal or an investment deal? Does one have an edge over the other, taking the sales price out of it and everything else? Does a seller typically prefer one over the other?
Well, it depends on, again, what the seller is looking for. Sometimes they just want the highest price and they don't really care. They just want the most qualified person. And it just depends on the situation. That's why you have to find out what the seller wants and then approach it that way.
If you're listening right now and you have any questions for my guest here today, give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. Carole, you have a very unique thing that you do in this market that has been getting a lot of your offers accepted. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about what that is, because there's a lot of people that don't know what the secret is.
Well, I mean, in addition to going in and finding out what the seller is looking for, I always try to develop a rapport. I mean, gone are the days where you can simply fax over an offer and give a call and say, I just faxed over an offer. I always go and present my offer in person to the agent and then find out when they're going to be presenting that offer to the client and hopefully meet with them at that time. Among that, other things I do, in addition to the good faith deposit being increased, the contingency period being short up, I've actually gone in and offered a certain amount of money over any other verifiable offer.
Now, and real quick, I'm going to stop you, because if you're just kind of dozing off right now or looking outside and fantasizing about something, you got to listen up. This is very important. And if you're a real estate agent and don't know this, listen up. Go ahead, Carole.
Okay, well, it's actually had the last 8 of 10 offers that I've written have been accepted because of this. And I recently, when I was talking to Phil prior to the show, I was giving him an example. I had a client who was looking at a $2 million house, and there were 3 offers. One was all cash, one was 50% down, and my client had 10% down. And I went in and wrote the offer for $5,000 over any other verifiable offer. And if you can believe it, with that price range, it was $5,000 in the scheme of things.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense to me, but
exactly,
money.
Exactly. She was well qualified. We had direct underwriting approval, and I went and talked with the agent several times during open house, during broker preview, because we put the offer in as soon as it went on the market, but I continued to use that time to develop a rapport. And he said that based upon my proactiveness, if you will, and the fact that we were giving $5,000 over, he chose my client. And in fact, when we were doing the final walkthrough, my client asked the agent, he said, if Carole wasn't my agent, would I have gotten this house? He said, absolutely not.
So if you didn't catch that, the importance of this is that she put in the contract $5,000 above any other verifiable offer. What that means is no matter what the highest offer was, yours is automatically $5,000 higher. In other words, yours is always going to be the highest, no matter what. That in itself will get the agent, the listing agent, and the seller to always have to come back to you. They have to at that point, right?
Exactly. If you're qualified, if you're, you have to put that together with the other. I mean, if you're going in there with 100% finance, usually it's not going to fly. But in most cases, yes. And it's been my experience that it works quite well, actually.
And what you just said is important. So let's touch upon it just for a second, because as long as you're qualified, and one of the things that I've been doing over here at Citywide Home Loans is really, it's simple, but it takes a lot of work, and it's actually very costly. But what we do is the majority of these banks that you go to will look at your loan package and write a letter saying that you're approved. And in essence, I've been doing this for so long now, I can look at anybody's tax returns and credit report and figure out if I can get you approved or not, and I can write a letter. But in reality, that is not going to compete with an all-cash buyer. But if I go in, take all the steps necessary, and actually get you an underwriter approval, not even, as you said earlier, a DU approval, but an underwriter approval, meaning the underwriter has looked at it, has double and triple checked all of your verification, your employment verification, your money in the bank, everything needed. When you go write that offer, you can actually write a 15-day close offer. Instead of a 30 or a 45-day like most of these people are doing, you can do a 15-day close. If you're a cash buyer, you need 15 days to close. It's the same thing. So you go in, you put in, like Carole says, $5,000 above any other verifiable offer. You do no loan contingencies, because remember, we already got that cleared. You do a 15-day close, and you do a 10-day loan contingency or a appraisal contingency. Now you are just as good, if not better, than any cash buyer out there. Now, there's a lot of people that don't even understand what this is and how it works. And if that's the situation, call me. Not only will I help you, but I'll put you in touch with all the right people for something like this too. Okay, Carole, I got one more question for you before we go to break.
Sure.
Obviously the market is tough. The home inspector comes, they do a quick inspection. They tell you there's a tile up on the roof that looks loose. They tell you that the one window, gets a little stuck sometimes. The one light switch doesn't work. And you have a buyer that wants all of that fixed.
Right.
What do you do these days in a market like this when there's 10 other offers that are knocking on the door? Do these buyers basically just have to say, you know what, I'm taking it in the shorts on this one? Or do they sit up and put up a fight for stuff like that?
Well, I've found both. I found a lot of buyers who are saying, well, I've paid a premium for this house. I've paid the highest price in this neighborhood in the last 10 years, and I want everything fixed. But then I go and I show them exactly what's on the market, which is nothing right now, literally nothing. I mean, typically, I don't know if people know this, but typically in Orange County, you have anywhere from 18 to 20,000 homes on the market. And today it's hovering around 3,200. So, and with the low interest rates and having Dino represent you with a loan.
Ding, 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 ding.
It's the best time to buy right now. It really is, because prices still are relatively low. And the interest rates are low, so it's still a great time, and the prices are going up. So if you can get in, you need to have a great lender and a good realtor.
Carole, thank you for being on the show today, being our resident expert, and for anybody out there, Carole is our local real estate expert down here in Orange County, and in particular down on Lido Island. I appreciate you coming on and helping us and sharing your wisdom.
Sure, thank you so much,
Mr. Paul Sobly.
I'm still here listening to all that good stuff about the $5,000 over any other verifiable offer. I was starting to get a little bit of a cold sweat as the appraiser, Dino.
Well, I've known you for a long time. I appreciate everything you've done for me over the years and all the hard work and detail you put into your appraisals. Thank you for being on the show today and sharing your wisdom with us.
Appreciate you having me.
You're listening to Money Matters with Dino. If you have any questions at all about your mortgage, current rates or programs, or if you're looking to buy a new home or investment property, give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616. That's why we're here, to make sure you're getting the most out of your real estate needs. Protect your finances, protect your family, and be real estate wealthy. Call us at 949-720-1616 or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. From your estate to real estate, we are here to help you. Stick around. After the break, Phil gets to test my knowledge in a little of our Ask Dino segment here. But today we actually have a special guest that just kind of swung by the studio. He's a dear friend of mine who's been in the mortgage business even longer than I have. So I'm going to bring him in and do a little Ask Lance segment here, and he can be the resident mortgage expert. If you don't know what the Ask Dino segment is if you have any mortgage or real estate related questions, go online, go to our Facebook page, which is just Money Matters with Dino, or our online at moneymatterswithdino.com. Ask your questions, and I do my very best every single week to get back to every single one of you and answer your questions correctly. You can reach us at 949-720-1616 or again online at moneymatterswithdino.com. We'll be right back after the break.
Mortgage professionals, are you looking for a company that values you as a loan officer? One that can provide you with the tools you need to grow your business at your pace? Then look no further than CHL Mortgage. CHL Mortgage provides you with a full range of residential loan products and services. You'll be backed by an exceptionally trained team of professionals that can take your clients as seriously as you do. Your clients will be treated with dedicated service, personal integrity, and exceptional professionalism. You'll be able to guide them in the right loan with competitive rates and keep them on the road to achieving life's goals. To get started on advancing your career, call Dino with CHL Mortgage at 949-720-1616. That's CHL Mortgage, 949-720-1616.
Finally, a reputable legal firm. CDA Law Center, a nationally recognized nonprofit homeowner advocate, one of the most trusted firms in the country for helping consumers with their loan modification process. CDA's attorneys have decades of combined experience guiding their clients through the very complex and choppy waters of loan modification. Call 877-499-4435, 877-499-4435. Finally, honest and ethical advice to gain real results. Call CDA Law Center at 877-499-4435. That's 877-499-4435, or check them out online at cdalawcenter.com.
Thanks for hanging with us. This is Money Matters with Dino, and I'm your host, Dino Katsiametis, and I'm here to give you the tools and information to build a secure and strong portfolio with real estate. If you have any questions at all, either for myself or my guests, give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. From your estate to real estate, we're here to help. This segment is brought to you by CDA Law Center, expert loan modifications with decades of legal experience in real estate. All right, Phil, it's the infamous Ask Dino section. This is, for those of you that don't know, it's basically you, the listener, if you had any mortgage or real estate related questions that you just need answered and you want an opinion you can trust, either go online at moneymatterswithdino.com, go on our Facebook page, Facebook.com/Money Matters with Dino, and just ask the question. I will figure, if I don't know the answer personally, which typically I know most of them, I will go out and find the person that does and make sure I get you the correct answer.
Yeah, and even if we don't get to it during the show, you'll get an email back, or absolutely, we'll get back to you. Okay, let's get started. When I sell my house, is there a way to avoid capital gains tax?
And if you weren't here before the commercial, I brought on a very dear friend of mine, Lance Powell, who's in the mortgage business and who's actually been in it longer than I am. Now, I'm not going to hold that against him, because sometimes old dogs, they still think that, things were the way they were. Lance is a little more up to date and knows his stuff, we'll say. But so I'm going to let him answer a lot of these questions. He kind of surprised us in studio today. So Lance, how you doing?
Doing terrific. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, and why don't you take these questions? Let's test your knowledge.
Well, this is one of the questions I always have them revert back to their accountants, because I'm not an accountant. It's not my area of expertise. So, with the changing laws today, there are different ways to get around, or I'd say different ways you can skin a cat. So, with that particular question, I would say I would call a tax expert who can really help you with that. Okay.
Oh, come on, Lance. People want answers around here. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to give one here. If you have an investment property and you're selling it, you're going to get taxed on it. But there's something called 1031 exchange.
Right.
And very simply, that just means if you sell your investment property and you go buy another investment property, now there's all sorts of rules and regulations that, that have to be met in order for that to work. But basically, you can roll all of that money into the new property and not get taxed on it at all. Zip, zero, zilch. And as Lance says, I'm not a tax professional, so I suggest that you go call a tax professional and ask them for their advice. But there are little things you can do, and you can call us direct, and we can put you in touch with the tax professional in your area as well.
Can I ask you just a quick follow-up on that? Do you have to be selling or buying the next property at the same time? Like once you close, do you have to buy right away, or is there a grace period to buy the next one?
What is it? It's like 90 or 120 days or something?
I think it's 90 days. And then you have to have, within that time frame, you have to identify what's called an upleg for that 1031 exchange.
Okay.
So then you can, forfeit it.
Okay, got it. All right, next question. As far as resale potential, I'm wondering, is it better to buy in an established neighborhood because when you go to sell, you aren't competing against new construction?
I'll take that one. I think today real estate is key. I don't care where you are today in regards to real estate. I think right now, if you look at any area, especially in Orange County, within the last 6 months, we've seen probably in some areas a 15 to 20% appreciation rate. I don't care if you bought new construction or if you bought, just existing right now. As our, expert real estate agent said earlier, I think right now we have limited property, so it's supply and demand. So what's really pushing the market right now is a lack of, inventory and, again, the low interest rates. So, I think it doesn't make a difference.
Dino, anything to add?
It's just a good time to buy.
Absolutely.
You get in before the rates go up. You get in before the prices go up too much.
Absolutely.
You will make some money right now.
Okay. Next question. I have a property out of state, and about 11 months ago, the property manager stopped depositing rent money into my account. I have received numerous reasons why this is the case via email. Now they're not even taking my calls. What do I do?
Lance, I'm going to jump in on this one because I have a very passionate answer to this one. I have 2 rental properties in Austin, Texas, and this very same thing happened to me. I found out the guy went through a divorce, became a drunken sailor, and started going out and just living the life, and started taking money from that trust account. And I wish I could say your name right now without getting in trouble because you SOB, you cost me a lot of money. And I got to tell you, this is how I handled it. And I suggest anybody that's in this type of a situation, you have no mercy whatsoever on that guy. Completely go after him with everything you have. And this is what I did. I called him up. I called him what I needed to call him to get that off my chest. And then I told him it was like a Monday or Tuesday. I said, you have until Friday, 5 p.m. to have that money in my account, period. And what I did is I went online. I downloaded all of the documents needed to report him to every bureau that would put him at risk of jail, of losing his license, and of public humiliation. I filled them all out. I took pictures of them all, and I sent it to him, and I said, Friday, 5 p.m., period. Otherwise, I'm going after you with everything I have.
And the money was in your account on
It was
Friday?
in my account
Nice.
by Friday. If you have questions for me, sorry about that. I got a little passion on that one. It really pissed me off.
Couldn't tell.
Money is hard for everybody. And when you take it away from me, I'm not going to be happy about it. If you have questions that you need answers to, and if you private questions too, call me direct, 949-720-1616. All right, what's the next question, Phil?
Okay. Can I borrow funds to use for...
No, you can't borrow any money. Sorry, Phil. I'm not going to lend you any money.
Not me.
Oh, okay.
I'm
sorry.
Again, believe me, I know better than to ask.
Lance, thanks for swinging by, I should say, and then answering some of these questions for us.
Well, thank you. This is great.
Well, that's the end of our show today. You're listening to Money Matters with Dino. And if you have any questions, either for myself or anything you heard here on the show today, don't wait. Pick up the phone and get the answers you need. We're here to help you. Call 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or you can find us online at moneymatterswithdino.com. It's a tremendous resource for you to use at any time. Thanks to my expert panelists this week, Paul Sobly from PDS Appraisals and Karen Lynch from Lynch Associates Real Estate. And, quickly, I want to mention Carole Lynch has opened up a beautiful office with an ocean view down on Lido Island down in Newport Beach. And she is looking for real estate agents that want to have a home to hang their license at. So if you have, if you're down in that area or you're looking to move down into that area and sell real estate in Newport Beach, give Carole a call. It's a great office to be working out of. Also, a big thank you here to my producer, Phil, for all the hard work you do on the show every week. Even more so, a very special thank you goes out to you, the listener, and for sending in all the questions that you do every week. You're the reason why I come on air every week, and I love doing the show, and I truly hope you get as much out of it as I do. We're here every Saturday from noon to 1 on KTLK AM1150. If you missed any part of the show and you'd like to hear it, you can catch us on the website at moneymatterswithdino.com, or you can even go to YouTube. Our channel there is Power Players Radio. Thank you all so much for listening, and remember, don't just get real estate rich, get rich. Your future is up to you. Bye for now.